Yeah. So first, what's really cool is you can purchase that NFT using USDC, and then very soon you'll be able to also use our DMC DeLorean token as well. And when you receive that NFT, then you have your place in line. As you get closer to the vehicle being ready, at some point we'll allow you to upgrade.
This episode is brought to you by Trezor. Trezor makes beautifully crafted hardware wallets that make it easy for you to safely store your cryptocurrencies. I'm a big believer in self-custody. I've been using hardware wallets for years, and Trezor was the pioneer of hardware wallets, and they started this journey in 2013. Their hardware wallets are open source, and they support a variety of tokens, from Bitcoin to the top altcoins and even new coins such as BlackRock's BUIDL. And I'm personally a user of the Trezor Safe 5. It's a beautiful device and easy to use. And Trezor offers a hand-holding service where they can help you onboard and set up your device so you can speak directly to a Trezor representative who can hold your hand through the process. And if you use the code ThinkingCrypto, all one word, you can get 5% off your purchase of a Trezor device. So to learn more about Trezor and all their great devices and services, visit the link in the description. Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast. I'm your host, Tony Edward, and joining me today is Evan Kuhn, who is the president of DeLorean Labs. Evan, great to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, Evan, I am so excited. I'm ecstatic because I'm a huge DeLorean fan. I've been a fan of the car forever, since watching Back to the Future growing up as a kid. I'm like, man, I wish I could get
Likewise.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to be watching and listening who will feel the same way. So I'm really excited to dive into what DeLorean Labs is doing and how you're embracing Web3. But let's kick it off with your background. Tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, and your professional background.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm originally from Toronto, Canada, and been in the crypto space probably for 8 years now or so. I co-founded Canada's first regulated crypto brokerage called Coinberry. Grew that over the last 5, 6, 7 years to over $1 billion transacted volume, 250,000 Canadian users, and had an exit there to WonderFi, a company backed by Kevin O'Leary that actually just sold to Robinhood a few weeks ago. So kind of went through the full journey there. And then when I left the day-to-day, started doing some consulting. DeLorean ended up becoming a client, started working them on this whole Web3 journey. Love the team, love the vision, love the opportunity to take this iconic brand and bring it into Web3. So just jumped in, and here we are today.
That's amazing. And you're certainly an OG in the crypto space. I mean, 8 years, you founded Coinberry, just incredible. What was your first encounter with Bitcoin or crypto? And what was your aha moment?
So for me, it was probably, there's this guy, Andreas Antonopoulos, probably heard of him when he went on Joe Rogan for that first time. He was talking about it, and it really just resonated with me. And I was like, this is amazing. And then the next thing was, okay, how do I get some Bitcoin? How do I, and then I think at the time, you had to really meet someone in person that was mining it, and it's very difficult. And I was like, oh, this is too tough. Like, I don't know what to do here. So downloaded first wallet, and then was just looking online for ways to, complete different tasks and can get little bits of Bitcoin here or there. And then, so I had that for a bit. And then shortly after, I think Apple removed crypto wallets from the App Store. And, at that point, I kind of took a bit of a step back thinking, well, okay, it's not going to be in the App Store. If Apple doesn't back this or support it, a good chunk of the world's population isn't going to be able to have access to it. And so kind of took a back seat for a bit. And then it was really a few years later, with a bunch of friends when I think it was that ICO wave that really kicked off in 2016. I started hearing about it from a bunch of people in my network, and that's what there was still that challenge of that on and off ramp being difficult still at the time. In Canada, Coinbase was around, but you could only purchase via credit card. There'd be a huge 6-7% fee on that. So, that was really the genesis and the idea for starting Coinberry was, how do we make it easier for Canadians to get in and out of the space?
Yeah, that's really great. And now in today's world, we're seeing the launch of ETFs as being one of the on ramps, and the Canada has been ahead of the United States. They were first to launch a Bitcoin ETF ahead of the United States, ETH, and an XRP, and others. So, in many ways, you guys are ahead than the United States, where I'm based.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, the Canadian ETF, I believe that came as a result of a lawsuit suing the regulators, in order to get that across the line. And, even with the stuff we were doing with Coinberry, it was, really putting pressure on the regulators. And at first, when we reached out to them, it was crickets, didn't really hear much from them. And then Quadriga happened, one of the big exchange failures in Canada. And then shortly, like a few weeks later, they're calling us up being like, okay, we want to check this out and understand the space. And shortly after, they came to the office and probably brought 10 people from their team and just wanted to know everything we were doing and wanted to learn. And so that was a 2-3 year process working with them on what that framework would look like in Canada.
I know here in the United States, we're at the cusp of getting that done with market structure and stablecoin legislation. Even though we have, the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF, there's still a ton of other altcoins that don't have ETFs. So hopefully this year we can catch up to you guys.
Yep. It's just a matter of time. I'm sure it's coming very soon.
For sure. Okay, let's talk DeLorean Labs. Tell us about DeLorean Labs and how it's connected to the DeLorean Motor Company.
Yep. So DeLorean Labs, it's part of the DeLorean ecosystem with the motor company there. So I have access to this amazing IP. And as you know, DeLorean Motor Company is coming out with the new electric vehicle, the DeLorean Alpha 5. So, just looked at new vehicle. How do we make this the vehicle of the future? And, look at revolutionizing the auto industry. Everything from the sales, the way the vehicle is sold, to how people interact with the vehicle. And, that all starts with the marketplace that we launched at marketplace.delorean.com, where every vehicle deposit comes with an NFT. And if you decide you want a better place in line to get your vehicle faster, you can buy that NFT, or you can sell your NFT and get out of your deposit at any point in time. So this is just a really a new way to sell vehicles that makes it more efficient, easier, transparency when it comes to pricing. And we're very excited to be the first to do this in the industry.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was looking through the website, and of course, the headline on the homepage, the DeLorean Web3 ecosystem. I just love that, and I love that you guys are being innovative and adopting this technology, because we see the puck is heading in this direction. I think everybody's going to be onboarded at some point. So, what was the genesis, or the how did it come about to say, hey, let's embrace this technology? Is it kind of the ethos of DeLorean being forward thinking and innovative and things like that?
Yeah, so I think it is that forward thinking, I guess, mindset of the company. And, just also being in a position that they're almost having a rebirth in a way of, the last vehicle came in the 80s. This is 40 years later that they're coming out with the new vehicle. So they really get to approach this from the ground up and, lay the foundation in a way that, legacy companies are already rooted in the old system. So, this is an opportunity to do something new.
Absolutely. So walk us through a bit of the process. I think you touched a bit on it, but just for simplicity's sake, let's say I want to get the new DeLorean, right, the EV, and I go and I buy that NFT. What happens next? I hook up my wallet, I get the respective NFT. Does that NFT automatically update over time and things like that?
Yeah. So first, what's really cool is you can purchase that NFT using USDC. And then, very soon you'll be able to also use our DMC, DeLorean token, as well. And when you receive that NFT, then you have your place in line. As you get closer to the vehicle being ready, at some point, we'll allow you to upgrade the NFT and choose the different package and interior colors, exterior colors, all the options. And at a further point, then the rest of the deposit will be due. And then when you receive your vehicle, that NFT will essentially become like the Carfax or the certificate of authenticity. And we're looking at having all the driving data get uploaded to that. So you'll have the kilometers driven, anything you can think of, service records, and we'll be able to incentivize, safe, good care of the vehicle, safe driving through our DMC token as well.
That's really amazing because I remember years ago, I think it was at the Proppy conference. They're in the real estate space, in the Web3 real estate space. And I was on stage and I was talking about dynamic NFTs and that it's not just monkey JPEGs, right? They can be these transformative item that could be applied to many industries, even to a house and its mortgage and its deed, and capture the life and longevity and the changes, if you bring it back to the audio, maintaining your car, and it captures all that stuff. And you said driving habits. And I'm just like, I'm waiting for people to realize how powerful this NFT technology can be, that it's not just a JPEG.
Yep. Yeah. And just to interrupt you there, that's one of the reasons we chose to build on SUI. Is their cutting edge technology really leading the way when it comes to these dynamic NFTs. And we tested the waters already when we first entered the space. Like I look at Web3 as about community, and we got all these DeLorean car clubs and communities scattered around the world, and we wanted to really bring everyone together. So we started off with our time capsule drop. We had 8,800 of those released for free, and really a chance for people to jump into the community and get comfortable with Web3. And utilizing that dynamic NFT technology, as you said, like they came as these sealed time capsules, and then over time they opened up, revealing various prizes, one of which was a new DeLorean EV. And so, over $400,000 worth of prizes in these time capsules.
That's amazing. Will the car itself integrate blockchain? Will there? And I know it may be a bit early to discuss this, and I don't know if you can release details, but maybe eventually in further iterations, blockchain will be integrated, where you can do different things, micropayments for tolls and things like that.
Yep, we're looking to have each car vehicle come with a crypto wallet already pre-installed. And I think, as you alluded to, with tolls, like I think that's just the tip of the iceberg of what's going to be possible. Imagine just pull your car up to a parking spot, it automatically pays for parking, or you go to a drive-through, it can already interface with wherever you're shopping. And it kind of also goes into a future where each car eventually it's going to be its own AI autonomous robot in a way that's going to have a wallet, so it can cover all its maintenance. And it's kind of the first building block of where it's inevitably going.
That's amazing. I'm fanboying a bit because I love it. I was showing my wife yesterday because I told her I was going to be interviewing you, and I'm like, you know what? I think I want to get this car. And if it has crypto integrated into it, I'm going to be there. So
yeah, that's going to be so exciting. Like I can't wait to drive one myself.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the DMC token, right? And this, of course, this is all built on the SUI blockchain. Tell us a bit about the token. When is that going live?
Yep. So the token is going live on June 24th. So very, very soon. And maybe when this comes out, it's already happened and it's already live. And we've got 12 plus exchanges launching with us on day one. This is really a first for such a big brand to come out with a token and really be diving into this industry. And we have many cool things planned. This is definitely a utility token, so there's going to be staking involved as well. We've got some really cool things planned with when it comes to staking. So if you've purchased the new DeLorean EV build slot, you'll actually be able to stake the build slot as well and use it as a bit of a multiplier on the token. And then we looked at a lot of the other auto companies out there. You've got Porsche Design and what we've seen with Ferrari, where a huge chunk of the revenue actually comes from merchandise. So we're looking to roll out a ton of limited edition DeLorean inspired merchandise where you'll only be able to use the token to participate in the sales and in the ecosystem. So that'll be an add-on to our marketplace platform. We're going to have a lot of cool products dropping and really getting to use that classic DeLorean design language that we all love and then bring it to some of our favorite products.
Wow, that's really great. And it's great to hear that you can stake this token and use it exclusively within the community and ecosystem. Evan, this feels like, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the podcast and I love DeLorean, but it just seems this is the future of branding and even keeping customers around longer, customer retention, and just engaging people better, right? A more intimate relationship, so to speak.
Yep. Oh yeah. Like this is kind of the, all the ideas that have been rolling around in my brain for the last, 5-6 years, ever since NFTs started, coming into the mainstream. And I think in the first wave, some greed took over there, and the market went out of control, and really all the utility has been lost. And there were some great projects that I did interact with, where you do get the NFT, and then maybe you get a limited edition art print, by the artist that created that NFT that goes along with it. So really that NFT has become the certificate of authenticity for that art print that you can hang on your wall. And, I think there is, if you're able to use that NFT technology with real world assets and not even hard assets too, you can use it with experiences. And we've already kind of seen that with a few NFTs where they're building clubhouses and works with restaurant memberships. So the technology is being developed, and I think it's a shame that the rise and fall that we had of these NFT values somewhat tainted all these first movers in the space. But the technology, I still really believe in it. I think it's here to stay. And I think it's going to take a brand like DeLorean to really pave the way and do it in a way that really puts the technology first. Like, as I said, when we dropped our time capsule, the 8,800, we put those out there for free and, let the market decide the price. And I think that's the kind of mindset that you need with something like this to really be about community first, build value for the community, make people want to be part of it, and let it grow from there.
I love it. And you mentioned like the speculative rise of many of these things, the ICO, the NFTs, and so forth. And many of it feels, look, it's like human nature playing out. You can't really stop it, but it's like, if I can use an analogy, like the .com boom, the 90s, it was kind of like that, right? A lot of things rising up on this speculative bubble, but when the market corrected and nature healed, so to speak, you had the real winners, those who had real utility start to grow, your Googles, your Amazons, your eBays, and much more, while certain companies that didn't necessarily have utility, but they were pitching their idea and raising tons of capital, but no way for people to use it, no revenue generation. And
it was the same with Bitcoin. Like, when's the last time you heard someone say Bitcoin's dead? And that used to be every party I went to and spoke about it, someone would tell me that. And I just don't hear it anymore. So, that's going to happen, with all these other aspects of the industry too.
Oh, for sure. Now, with the NFTs, right, given that it's dynamic and it's attached to the car, it's attached to your activity and so forth, I'm assuming DeLorean, if you're holding events or you're doing any type of new promotions, people who are holding those respective NFTs will be able to get exclusivity, access to things that maybe people who are not holding it will, right?
Yeah, we've got lots of cool things planned. In Dubai a couple of months ago during Token 2049, we're sponsors of Karate Combat, a very cool fighting league. And we put a call out to our time capsule holders. If you want to come sit in the DeLorean VIP section, let us know. And we've got a Discord channel with all our time capsule holders. So we're able to bring a bunch of them out to that event. Ones that were in the region are able to fly there. And so I had a chance to meet a lot of them in person. And, that was a really cool experience too. Hearing some people that they downloaded their first crypto wallet because of DeLorean and were able to get that NFT.
So, question on the crypto wallet setup. So, obviously, this is all based on the SUI blockchain. So, which crypto wallets do you support to allow people to hold the tokens and as well as hold the NFTs as well?
Yep. So, right now it's, as you said, just on SUI blockchain, but there are a number of great wallets out there. For our airdrop, we've been partnering with Phantom and OKX Wallet, and of course, all the OGs in the SUI community. There's the Slush Wallet as well. That used to be SUI Wallet and Stashed merged together to become Slush. But yeah, we've got a really exciting airdrop campaign. Seeing the way airdrops were done in the past, people would receive tokens from a project they'd never heard of. They might not do the research. It ends up as dust in their wallet and just kind of burns the supply. So we've done it a little bit differently. We've airdropped vouchers to people with the token amount, and then they can join the DeLorean race. And we've set it up as 8 laps because in the DeLorean ecosystem, everything is in eights because 88 is when time travel is possible in Back to the Future. That's the speed the car has to go. So we've got 8 laps. Join the race. There's different tasks for each lap. And at any point in time, you can exit the race with your tokens. But the longer you stay in the race, it's an opportunity to earn more tokens and engage with our partners.
I love it. Now, are there plans, and I don't know if this makes sense, but to expand to other blockchains, given that we're headed to a world that's multi-chain, there's going to be interoperability, and it may be too early for you to do this, but I'm just curious if you're going to plan to expand it in the future.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely too early for that conversation, and we're just so happy being with SUI and working with the team there. The team is just so professional. The way they handle everything, it's just amazing to see, and the community that's being built around this chain. I almost want to say it's almost cult-like, and the enthusiasm and like going to the events and seeing everyone supporting everyone else's projects. It's just really great to see.
Yeah. Well, you can add me as a cult member because I'm going to be participating. I love it, man. And I love that this brand is getting new life. I'm really looking forward to the car launch. And like I said, I already asked the boss, my wife, but it's just so fascinating to see how this is all unfolding, not just with the relaunch, but with Web3 being integrated. Now, obviously, you're doing a lot. You got the coin launch coming up, DMC Token. Are there other things on your roadmap? What can we expect maybe later in the year?
Yeah, so as I alluded to with the token utility, all those partnerships and the products and goods that we're looking to design and bring to market, it's really just so much more than the car. Like, we've got a good chunk of the team focused on delivering one of the best cars, and but we want something, like the car is going to be very limited edition, and we want to create some more mass market products, and things that everyone has a chance to engage in the brand and the ecosystem.
given that this technology and it's EV and it's forward looking and it's futuristic, is there AI integrated into this car in any way?
So it's a little bit too early to commit to how that's going to look. Inevitably I see that being the thing, but is it going to happen in the first version, or is it going to happen in the second version? We'll wait to see. And we're still in the process of figuring out who our AI partner would be for that as well.
Yeah, it would be pretty neat to have all of that in, but I know it's still early. Even these AI developers are still, going through the iteration of getting the bugs out, making sure things are copacetic and all that.
But I would also, see something in the future of everyone's going to have their own AI, that they probably want to move from device to device, like, because it'll already be trained. It'll be like their virtual assistant. So, I think if we could do something where everyone could just port the AI that they already trust and use and work with, like that's something I'd like to see as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. That absolutely makes sense. And we were talking about interoperability. If you can move that AI to different devices in your car or whatever it may be, that would be perfect.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. That's very interesting. Man, I'm so excited. Like I'm like thinking of like what can I ask you next? But it's just amazing. And and the car launch, if I'm not mistaken, I read is scheduled for 2027. Is that right?
Yeah, it will be around there.
Okay, so lots of time to save up, take some crypto profits, and get ready to. And then I don't know if this gets too much in the weeds of the infrastructure of the car side of things, but obviously being an EV, it would have compatibility with most of the charging ports across the United States.
Yep, we are in conversations with some of the leading charging systems out there to really piggyback on existing infrastructure, because we're not looking to build that infrastructure out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And my hope in general for EVs is that the governments also, they start helping with these infrastructures as well. Like you have gas stations in different places, but you have more designated areas for charging. That would be really great to boost the adoption of EVs.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're seeing lots of incentives already in mandates. Some countries want to be fully electric by X date in the future, and are putting these aggressive mandates out.
Evan, I have a feeling that what you guys are doing is going to be an amazing case study, and we could see other car companies do the same, copy the model that you're putting out there.
Yeah, I would say other car companies, but also just other brands in general that want to adopt Web3 and create a community in Web3 as well.
Let's pivot to the crypto markets. I definitely want to get your thoughts on how things have changed, especially as an OG like yourself, getting into the crypto industry, launching a company. What are your thoughts on how things have grown? With TradFi coming in, launching ETFs, tokenizing, the stablecoin market growing significantly. What are your thoughts on the growth we've seen?
Yeah, I think it's amazing to see, and it's in many ways it's coming slower than expected, but in some ways, when it comes to what we've seen with the Bitcoin ETFs and BlackRock, faster too. So we really see Bitcoin leading the way, and then stable coins as well. I think people look at just how profitable Tether has been. So now you get the whole wave of everyone trying to launch a stable coin and get into that, and then governments trying to figure out, okay, how do we regulate it? And but yeah, I think stable coins definitely could be competing with Visa and MasterCard, and when it comes to payments in the future. Yeah, but I think things are on track, and it's we're also getting to a point where I think we're going to start to see the Bitcoin drawdown not be as pronounced when it comes to bear markets, and I think we're getting a lot more long-term holders than previously as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've been thinking a lot about that, and I'm getting a lot of questions from my viewers and listeners. Will the next bear market be as deep as the ones we've seen before, 70%, 80% downturn, right? But to your point, with the ETF buying, strategic reserves being set up here in the United States, I think just yesterday or the other day, Texas passed their strategic Bitcoin reserve bill. So you're just seeing ETFs globally and all these governments and nations and so forth looking to buy Bitcoin. So to your point, with more liquidity and more holders, not so much of a downside, right?
Yeah. And then even with what we're doing at DeLorean, really has nothing to do with what the price of Bitcoin is doing or, the rest of the industry. Like our revenues really come from the IP and, come from vehicle sales and merchandise and, what the broader crypto market is doing really shouldn't have any effect or much of an effect on it. So curious to see how that plays out over the cycles.
Yeah, that is something I'm really thinking about and how to play it myself because I'm invested, of course. And it's kind of easy when okay, 80% drawdown, buy the dips, hold for the next run up, Bitcoin having hits, start of the next bull market, right? But it may not be as easy anymore. But we'll see. Certainly, there's going to be a pullback because all market pull back at some point, right? And so even the stock market. So we'll see how that plays out. So we've seen a boom in tokenization. You got all of Wall Street, BlackRock, and all these folks are looking to put TradFi assets on the blockchain, stocks, equities, and much more. What are your thoughts on how that market is growing?
So I really think that this whole stock market is meant for the blockchain. It just makes sense to be there. Still probably have to have some limitations on it. It may not be trading stocks 24 hours a day and on weekends, but it will make settlements easier, faster, and there'll be more transparency as well. I think we all remember the GameStop situation on Robinhood and everything that was going on there. So I think just by putting that on chain will give a level of transparency that investors would like to see.
I've been talking a lot about this on the podcast that putting these assets on the blockchain makes them more accessible globally because there are certain stocks that people in certain countries can't access. I think I was reading like in India, they can't access Tesla or whatever, right? Or whichever country. And then on the brand side, with what you guys are doing, if I'm in New Zealand and I'm looking at DeLorean, I'm like, man, I love the DeLorean, but there's no way for me to participate. Even if you were a public company, right? I may not be able to access that stock because it's on the New York Stock Exchange. But with a token, if you got an internet connection, you got a wallet, almost anybody can access it.
Yeah, and that's what's so amazing about DeFi. And one of the things I love about SUI and the whole ecosystem is their DeFi ecosystem is so easy to use because you have almost instant transactions, very, very low fees, and it can also handle a ton of transactions. So I don't think we've even seen the network tested at its limitations yet. And it really, when you're interacting with DeFi, it feels like you're on a centralized exchange. It's that smooth.
It's so fascinating. And so it may be too early for you to answer this question, but with the token, you mentioned you can do staking, but eventually there may be DeFi protocols or DeFi products offered around the DMC token, right?
Well, we will be integrating, with the various platforms in there, whether it's, at some point with like SUI Lend and, all the DeFi stuff.
Oh, got it. Okay. That's really great. Because going back to, my example of someone in New Zealand who really loves DeLorean and they can't participate in certain ways, but now they can. I'm a fan of the company. I'm a fan of the brand. I can hold a token. I can stake and do DeFi. And it's like it takes my brand affinity, if you want to call it that, to the next level, where I feel almost like I'm more of a stakeholder.
Yep. Yeah, and there's really no minimums either. Like it's not like you have to be trading a large amount or holding a large amount. It's really democratized where works for anyone around the world at whatever level they want to participate.
It's amazing.
And then you never know what, by holding DMC, are there other communities that are going to airdrop? And I think going back to the time capsule, some of the cool stories I heard of, people pick them up for free, and then all of a sudden we're airdropped Walrus token, which is another big token in the SUI ecosystem. And some people received life-changing amounts, which is really cool to hear, or a couple months worth of salary for them, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing. I love that. And speaking of that, I saw the different ads. Patrick Stewart, Christopher Lloyd, of course. I don't know if you could answer this question, but I would love to get an idea of how Christopher, thought of this, or how you felt about it with the relaunch, because for him, and in history, and there's so much around Back to the Future and much more.
Oh yeah, he was so excited to be on set, and just when he got into character and just gave those facial expressions, those like timeless facial expressions. It was just so nostalgic, and it was just so amazing to see and be part of something that was just so special.
Oh wow, that's amazing, man. I love it. Like I said, I'm fanboying a bit here, but I love it, and I love what you guys are doing. And in addition, I think what I mentioned earlier, what you guys are doing is kind of the blueprint, and I hope other brands recognize what's happening here and they also adopt this sooner than later, because I think a lot of people would love to connect with their respective brands, companies, and things that they are fans of in a much intimate way.
Oh yeah, exactly. And just people in the collector community in general too. This is just perfect for collectibles. So you can kind of have that digital twin of your, real life collection.
Random question. I don't know if it makes sense, but obviously you're launching an EV version, kind of a new design. Are there plans to ever do anything around the old design as like a rare car or a set of cars that you may put out there?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I've been pushing for since day one of being involved. Is I'm just such a fan of the classic design language, and I know a lot of other people are too. So that's really what I want to see, is kind of a new EV that brings in that boxy stainless steel. So yeah, I'm going to keep pushing, and you never know.
Oh man, I would love that. Okay, Evan, I got some wrap-up questions here for you. First, if you could create your own metaverse, what would the theme be?
I think more just like a Second Life, like something more realistic, and that was like this world just in the metaverse. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know why that made me think of Sims. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. So I grew up playing SimCity. Was one of my favorite games, and then also played Sims for a bit. So I've always been drawn to things that I guess would just be a bit more realistic and lifelike in that sense.
For sure. Rapid fire questions. Favorite food?
Right now, it's got to say pizza. Went through a hamburger. Like I go through phases with all that stuff, and I think it's partly I got to meet Dave Portnoy a few weeks ago at Consensus, and just always now when I'm traveling around, just always trying to find a pizza place to check out. But I'm into a ton of food. I always have that kind of flavor of the moment. Went through big burger phase, sushi phase, everything, ramen phase.
I'm like that as well. I go through those phases and I'll look for the best of the best, and then I get bored of it and all right, let's move on to something else. Favorite musician or band?
So right now I've been into electronic music a lot. So when it comes to like progressive house, a lot of Eric Pritz, Deadmau5, some even more like lower tempo stuff, Black Coffee, really into his stuff. And then on the band side, grew up listening to a lot of the classics, Beatles, Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, went deep into Dave Matthews Band. I think they're one of the best live bands you could see out there. Incredible drummer. Yeah, big music fan as well.
Nice. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Do I have to say Back to the Future?
You have to.
Yeah, I love that. I still remember watching it as a kid vividly, and just, it just touches, all elements of life. I think time travel is just such an innate part of human nature, of you just always, kind of want to go back in time to relive an event or redo something, or you just want to go see the future and see how this all ends. So I think just even beyond the story of that movie, it's just everyone can take that concept and apply it to their own life. And I think that's really why it hits so deep.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those movies that had a great impact on me as a kid, just thinking bigger, and the universe and time travel and all that kind of opened up my mind to those concepts. And so it's like this deep seated thing, right? Where I just love it. And if it's on TV, I'll just watch it, even though it's be the millionth time I've watched it.
Yeah.
And I remember,
and which is your favorite of the three?
Man, I got to say one, just because I've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
And then in the 90s, when I was a kid, we went to Florida and I went to Universal Studios. I remember riding the Back to the Future ride, and it's just, man, just good times.
Yeah.
Favorite book?
So I really like Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain, kind of looping it back into the food stuff there. I just think he was brilliant in the way he puts words together and just who he was as a person. And I think it's a really special book that really created almost the modern day celebrity chef, and the kind of the precursor of the whole food culture that exists now.
I have to check that out. I'm a fan. My wife and I are both fan of Anthony Bourdain. We used to watch, different shows with him, and then obviously, rest in peace. But yeah, I gotta check.
But yeah, it was that book that started it all for him. Yeah. Like he was working, I believe, as a chef at the time while he was writing that book.
When you're not working at DeLorean, what are you doing for fun?
Right, I've really gotten into long distance running over the last few years. I've done 2 half marathons right now, so that's 21 kilometers. Started training for a full marathon, but then realized that's a full-time job. So, with everything going on at DeLorean, I had to pull back my training. So now it's just, running to relax and blow off some steam.
Oh, nice. Evan, absolute pleasure chatting with you. The door's open anytime you want to come back and talk about the car.
Thank you.
And all the things that are happening, because I'm a big fan. But thank you so much, man. I'm looking forward to the future updates around DeLorean Labs and all the cool things you guys are doing.
Great. Thank you. Let's definitely do this again sometime.